Everyone calls her private, but what they really mean is this. She doesn't explain herself for their comfort. She doesn't narrate her pain. She doesn't announce her plans. She doesn't clarify rumors she didn't start. And somehow that unsettles people more than drama ever could. Because when a woman refuses to overshare, the world starts filling in the blanks for her. They label her secretive, guarded, hard to read, suspicious. They ask the same tired question over and over. What is she hiding? But that question says more about the observer than it ever does about her. A Sigma female isn't private because she's afraid of being seen. She's private because she understands what happens when everyone thinks they're entitled to your inner life. She's lived long enough to know that access, once given, is rarely returned in the same condition. Today, we're pulling the curtain back on why Sigma females are so private, what that silence actually protects, and why the wrong people always feel personally offended by it. If you're a Sigma lady, parts of this will feel uncomfortably accurate. If you're trying to understand one, this might be the first honest explanation you've heard. And if you value clarity over noise, strength over performance, and depth over validation, make sure you subscribe to Wisdom Ways here on The Sigma Lady. This channel isn't about being loud, it's about being deliberate. Point 1. The Velvet Firewall. A Sigma female's privacy is often mistaken for emotional distance, but in reality, it's a highly refined security system. She didn't wake up one day and decide to be closed off. She learned it. Through observation, through betrayal, through watching how harmless details can be twisted once they leave her mouth. The velvet firewall is soft on the surface but impenetrable underneath. She's polite, she's calm, she's not rude or confrontational. But she reveals very little that could be used against her later. Most people overshare without realizing it. They talk about their fears, their insecurities, their relationship problems, their financial stress. And then they wonder why certain people suddenly know exactly where to poke when they want control. A Sigma female notices patterns others miss. She notices how some listeners don't listen to understand. They listen to store information. She notices how curiosity can turn into leverage. She notices how sympathy can quietly morph into superiority, so she limits the data. Her privacy isn't emotional unavailability, it's emotional discipline. She understands that once information leaves her, it no longer belongs to her. It belongs to interpretations, assumptions, and sometimes malicious intentions. The velvet firewall isn't about distrust of everyone, it's about realism. She doesn't assume people are evil, she assumes they're human, and humans talk, humans compare, humans project. By sharing less, she reduces the number of angles from which she can be misunderstood. This is why she often feels peaceful, even when others feel exposed. She's not carrying the anxiety of wondering who knows what about her. She doesn't replay conversations in her head thinking, did I say too much? She already knows the answer, no. And the irony is this, the more private she becomes, the more stable her sense of self grows. She no longer needs constant feedback to know who she is. She becomes internally referenced instead of socially referenced. People who benefit from access without responsibility will call this guarded. People who respect boundaries will call it wise. Point 2. The access tax. A Sigma female understands something most people never consciously grasp. Access is not a right, it's a privilege. Her time, her energy, her personal story. None of these are free. The access tax isn't money, it's behavior. Consistency is the first payment. Are you the same person over time, or only when it's convenient? Respect is the second. Do you honor her boundaries or try to negotiate them? Emotional maturity is the third. Can you handle honesty without defensiveness? Most people fail one of these early. Sigma females don't announce this system. They don't lecture people about standards. They simply observe. Quietly, carefully. She may let someone talk. She may answer lightly, but she's watching what happens next. Does the person push for more? Do they pry? Do they act entitled to deeper access just because time passed? That's where the door starts to close. Oversharing is often mistaken for intimacy, but she knows better. Real closeness isn't built on information quantity. It's built on safety, and safety is rare. She's seen what happens when people are given too much, too soon. Familiarity without respect breeds entitlement, and entitlement kills connection faster than distance ever could. So she taxes access, not to punish people, not to feel powerful, but to protect the parts of herself that don't heal quickly once damaged. This is also why people who feel rejected by her often say she's hard to get close to. What they really mean is she didn't lower her standards to meet their expectations. A Sigma lady would rather be misunderstood than emotionally drained. She would rather move slowly than clean up chaos later. The access tax filters out the impatient, the invasive, and the emotionally reckless. What's left are people who don't demand entry. They earn it, and those are the only ones who ever get past the gate. Point 3. The quiet quality control. A Sigma female doesn't open up slowly because she's unsure. She opens up slowly because she's evaluating. While others bond through rapid disclosure, she bonds through observation. She watches how people handle small truths before trusting them with the heavy ones. How they react to neutral information tells her everything she needs to know about how they'll treat vulnerability later. She notices who listens without interrupting, who remembers details without weaponizing them, who keeps stories where they belong instead of spreading them for entertainment. This is quiet quality control. Most people reveal themselves when they think nothing important is at stake. A Sigma female understands this and designs her interactions accordingly. She might share something minor, even boring, just to see what happens next. Does the person respect it? Do they exaggerate it to others? Do they use it to feel closer than they actually are? If they fail the test, she doesn't confront them. She simply stops upgrading their access. This is why some people feel she pulled away for no reason. There was a reason. They just didn't realize they were being evaluated. Her privacy is not about control, it's about precision. She doesn't want a large circle, she wants a clean one. She doesn't want loud loyalty, she wants quiet consistency. She's not impressed by intense emotional displays. She's impressed by steady behavior over time. In a world that rewards oversharing, her restraint looks unusual. But that restraint protects her from disappointment fatigue, from repeated emotional letdowns that come from trusting too quickly. Sigma females don't expect perfection from others, they expect self-awareness. And when that's missing, they adjust their distance without drama. That's not coldness, that's intelligence applied to relationships. Point 4. The spotlight allergy. Attention feels good at first, then it starts costing more than it gives. A Sigma female learns early that visibility attracts more than admiration. It attracts opinions, projections, jealousy, and entitlement. The spotlight doesn't just illuminate success, it exposes vulnerability to people who don't deserve access to it. She doesn't crave anonymity, she craves peace. Being watched changes how people treat you. Suddenly, every move is questioned. Every decision is debated. Every mistake becomes public property. She's seen how quickly support turns into scrutiny, so she steps sideways instead of forward into the spotlight. She keeps her milestones quiet, her struggles quieter. Not because she's ashamed, but because she doesn't want an audience managing her emotions for her. There's also something else at play. Attention creates obligation. When too many people feel involved in your life, they start expecting explanations, updates, justifications. She wants freedom, not a fan base. The Sigma female understands that the loudest lives are often the most fragile. Constant visibility requires constant validation, and she doesn't want to depend on applause to feel grounded. By staying private, she moves without pressure. She changes direction without announcing it. She grows without narrating every step. To outsiders, this looks mysterious. To her, it feels light. She knows the difference between being seen and being known, and she chooses the second one carefully. Point 5. The narrative lock. Once a story leaves your mouth, it stops being yours. A Sigma female has watched this happen too many times. She's seen how one sentence can be retold 10 different ways, depending on who's listening and what they need the story to mean. So she locks the narrative. She doesn't rush to explain herself when misunderstood. She doesn't correct every false assumption. She doesn't fight rumors with clarifications, because explaining often gives power to people who are already committed to misunderstanding you. She understands that some people don't want truth. They want confirmation of what they already believe. Giving them more words just gives them more material to twist. Instead, she lets time and consistency do the talking. She knows that real patterns can't be faked forever. Eventually, the truth shows up without needing a spokesperson. This restraint takes strength. Silence is uncomfortable in a culture that demands constant self-disclosure. But she'd rather be temporarily misjudged than permanently exposed. The narrative lock also protects her future. She doesn't announce moves before they're made. She doesn't share plans with people who might discourage them or subtly sabotage them. Her life isn't a group project. It's a personal mission. Those who need explanations won't get them. Those who understand don't ask. Point 6. The emotional minimalism code. A Sigma female feels deeply. That's exactly why she's careful. She doesn't scatter her emotions across every conversation. She doesn't process pain in public. She doesn't unload feelings just to feel momentary relief. She practices emotional minimalism. That means she experiences first, understands second, and speaks last. She gives herself time to separate raw emotion from clarity. By the time she talks, she knows what she means. This makes her seem calm, even in chaos. But that calm is earned, not innate. She's learned that emotional oversharing often creates more problems than it solves. People react instead of listening. They judge instead of supporting. They remember your worst moment longer than you do. So she keeps her inner world organized. She chooses when to open the door and to whom. She doesn't confuse expression with healing. She knows some emotions need space, not spectators. Others may label this as being distant or detached, but she knows the truth. Emotional control is not emotional absence, it's self-respect. Point 7. The no rescue policy. A Sigma female learned a hard lesson early in life. Not everyone who rushes in to help actually wants to help. Some want leverage, some want dependency, some want a role in your story so they can feel important. So she stopped calling for rescue. The no rescue policy doesn't mean she never struggles. It means she doesn't advertise her struggles while they're still bleeding. She handles what she can privately, stabilizes herself, and only then decides if sharing is necessary. This is where many people misunderstand her. They assume silence means strength without pain. They assume independence means never needing support. Neither is true. She feels just as deeply as anyone else, but she refuses to turn vulnerability into a performance or a bargaining chip. She doesn't want sympathy that comes with strings attached. She doesn't want advice from people who haven't earned context. She's seen how quickly help can become control. When someone knows your weakest moment, they might remind you of it later. They might redefine you by it. They might expect gratitude long after the situation has passed. A Sigma female avoids that trap. When she finally speaks about something difficult, it's not a plea, it's a statement. She's not asking to be saved. She's sharing because she chose to, not because she had no other option. This is why her privacy feels intimidating to people who thrive on emotional dependency. They can't position themselves as the hero. They can't feel needed in the way they're used to. But she's not interested in being rescued. She's interested in being respected. Quick pause here, Sigma ladies. If this video feels like it's putting language to patterns you've lived but never fully explained, you can support the channel through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description and also pinned in the first comment. Your support helps keep this space focused on clear thinking, quiet strength, and real-world wisdom for women who move differently. Point 8. The Boundary Laboratory. A Sigma female doesn't argue about boundaries, she tests them. The Boundary Laboratory is where she quietly observes how people respond to limits. She gives a short answer instead of a detailed one. She says, "I'm busy," without explaining why. She declines an invitation without over-justifying. Then she watches. Does the person respect it? Or do they push, question, guilt, or mock? Most people reveal their entitlement the moment they don't get full access. And when that happens, she doesn't escalate. She doesn't lecture. She simply adjusts distance. Privacy makes this process easier. When people know less about her life, they have fewer openings to cross lines. They can't debate her reasons if they don't have them. They can't argue with information they don't possess. This is strategic, not defensive. She understands that boundaries defended loudly often attract resistance. Boundaries enforced quietly tend to stick. People who belong in her life don't need explanations. They understand that no is a complete sentence. People who don't belong will expose themselves by demanding more. The Boundary Laboratory saves her time, energy, and emotional labor. Instead of fighting for respect, she filters for it. Point 9. The Success Incubator. Sigma females build in silence, not because they're unsure, but because they understand how fragile early momentum can be. When you announce goals too soon, you invite opinions before results, doubt before proof, envy before stability. She's experienced how casual comments can drain motivation without meaning to. So she incubates. Her plans stay private while they're forming. Her ideas stay protected until they can stand on their own. She doesn't need encouragement from people who don't understand the vision. This quiet building phase allows her to make mistakes without embarrassment, to pivot without explanation, to fail small instead of publicly. When results finally appear, people assume it happened overnight. They don't see the months or years of silent preparation. And she's fine with that. She doesn't need credit for effort. She values outcomes more than recognition. Privacy turns her life into a workshop instead of a stage, and that's where real progress happens. Point 10. The Envy Radar. A Sigma female doesn't assume everyone is jealous. She simply notices patterns. She notices how some people celebrate loudly but disappear when consistency is required, how compliments sometimes carry a sharp edge, how curiosity turns strange when success enters the room. The envy radar isn't paranoia, it's pattern recognition built through experience. She's seen how sharing wins too early can shift the energy in a room, how people who once felt equal suddenly start competing silently. How support turns conditional when your growth challenges someone else's comfort. So she keeps achievements quiet, not to diminish herself, not to play small, but to protect the joy of winning without managing other people's emotions. Privacy allows her to enjoy progress without shrinking it for others or defending it from subtle resentment. She doesn't want to reassure people that her success doesn't threaten them. That's not her job. By saying less, she avoids unnecessary comparison. She avoids awkward explanations. She avoids being put in a position where she has to downplay what she worked hard for just to keep the peace. The envy radar tells her when silence is safer than sharing, and she listens. Point 11. The Intimacy Filter. A Sigma female does not confuse intimacy with exposure. Many people believe closeness means full access, constant updates, emotional transparency on demand. But she understands something deeper. True intimacy is built on safety, not saturation. The intimacy filter is slow by design. She shares layers, not everything at once. She watches how people hold what she gives them, whether they respect it, whether they treat it gently. If someone rushes intimacy, she pulls back. If someone pressures vulnerability, she closes the door. Not because she fears connection, but because forced closeness is rarely real. She wants to feel safe being quiet around someone. Safe not explaining. Safe not performing emotional openness. That kind of intimacy can't be rushed. So she filters. Patiently, carefully. People who only feel close when they know everything won't last long in her life. People who feel close, simply being present, often stay. Point 12. The reputation shield. A Sigma female knows how fast reputations are built and destroyed. She's watched how words get taken out of context, how emotional moments become permanent labels, so she limits exposure. The less people know, the less they can distort, the less they can repeat, the less they can weaponize. She understands that some listeners aren't listening to support, they're listening to collect information, and she refuses to hand them ammunition. This doesn't make her fake. It makes her strategic. She keeps her composure in public. She chooses her words carefully. She avoids emotional reactions that could be misunderstood later. This is the reputation shield at work. It allows her to move through spaces without being defined by her worst day, her past mistakes, or her private struggles. She controls the image, not by crafting it loudly, but by limiting unnecessary access. Silence, in this case, is protection. Point 13. The power of unavailable information. Mystery isn't something she performs. It's a byproduct of self-containment. When people can't predict her, they can't control her. When they don't know her next move, they can't interfere. When they don't understand her motives, they can't manipulate them. Unavailable information creates independence. She doesn't correct assumptions unless they matter. She doesn't rush to be understood. She lets people sit with uncertainty. This makes some uncomfortable, because uncertainty removes leverage. The Sigma female is comfortable being partially unreadable. She knows that clarity is for people who've earned trust, not for the crowd. And that quiet power keeps her free. Point 14. The sacred room. Here's what she's really protecting. The sacred room is the part of her life that stays untouched by opinions, the place where her healing happens, where her next moves are formed, where her softness exists without risk. Not everyone gets access to this room. Most never even know it exists. She keeps it private because it's valuable, because it's fragile, because once invaded, it's hard to restore. In this room, she doesn't perform strength. She simply is. She reflects. She plans. She rests. This is what people mistake for secrecy. But it's not hiding. It's honoring. And a Sigma female would rather protect her sacred room than explain it to someone who would never understand why it matters. So when people ask, why is she so private? What they're really asking is why they don't have access. And the answer is simple, even if it's uncomfortable. A Sigma female isn't hiding secrets. She's hiding doors. She's hiding the shortcuts to her nervous system. She's hiding the blueprint to her future. She's hiding the parts of herself that don't recover easily once mishandled. Her privacy is not fear, it's memory. Memory of being misunderstood. Memory of being drained. Memory of giving too much to people who gave nothing back but opinions. She learned that not every question deserves an answer. Not every curiosity is innocent. Not every listener is safe. So she chose peace over performance, depth over disclosure, control over chaos. And that choice makes people uneasy, because a woman who can't be read can't be managed. A woman who doesn't explain herself can't be boxed in. A woman who keeps her inner world protected forces others to deal with her reality, not their assumptions. Sigma ladies, if this video felt like it was describing your inner logic instead of your outer behavior, know this: you're not cold, broken, or antisocial. You're calibrated. You learned how to move through the world without bleeding everywhere you walk. You learned how to keep what's sacred intact. You learned that silence can be stronger than explanation. And that is not something to fix, that is something to keep. Until next time, move quietly, choose carefully, and let your life stay beautifully unreadable. This is the Sigma Lady signing off. And if you'd like to support the channel and help keep content like this coming, you can do so through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description and pinned in the first comment. Your support helps protect this space for thoughtful, grounded, Sigma-minded women who don't need permission to be private.